NASCAR Spectacle. I'm Ian Jordan.
I'm Mike Gamble.
And I'm Nate Kinzel.
And today we have some very special guests. Guys, why don't you go and introduce yourselves? Let's start off with Dalton.
All right. What's up, guys? I'm Dalton Good. I have no YouTube channel or podcast, but I do have a big Twitter at DaltonGood18. But hello, my friends. What's up?
Good to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
All right, and we got Dakota.
Oh, boys. What's going on, guys? NASCAR Baby here, a.k.a. maybe Dakota Rutledge. I don't know. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm always posting stuff. I'm always going to races. I got a little channel on YouTube called At The Line. Watch it if you want. Hopefully we get back to racing, and I'll be sending some videos y'all's way. But I'm just here to talk crap with the guys.
All right.
Hell yeah.
And now we got Fah The Lead boys.
Fah The Lead.
Connor Bunn, one half of the Fah The Lead Podcast, aspiring astronaut, Kyle Busch fan / William Byron supporter, Kobe over MJ at Connor Bunn on Twitter.
Here we go. Don't get me going early.
Happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having us.
Hey there, Timothy Martin, the other half of the Fah The Lead Podcast. I'm the elder statesman of the group. Been watching racing since the early 1990s. You can follow me at TRMFTL on Twitter.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Straight from the news channel.
Start off the Stock Car Spectacle. We always do a diecast of the week. So have you guys brought in some diecasts? I can see Dakota has.
Boy, I got it lined up.
Holy crap.
Yeah, Dakota's got like the starting 10 grid going over there with all his diecasts.
That's awesome.
Damn, okay.
We're going through the years.
I like
couldn't pick. I couldn't pick.
Oh, my
I don't know if I
God.
can turn my camera around, but I think I got one. Let's see here.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna think it's a Kyle Busch one. Is that a Kyle Busch or Terry Labonte?
Oh, dang.
Of course. Oh, that's sick, though.
And look, it's autographed.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
That's literally the only diecast I have right now. So I'm not even at my house. I'm at my mom's house because apparently my roommate is working with the coronavirus victim. So
Oh, boy.
Oh, you're stuck in limbo.
I'm staying the heck away, man.
yeah, it's a good idea. All right,
Yeah,
Timothy,
it's,
Connor, what you guys got?
Here we got Tim Richmond, 25,
Hell
Folgers
yeah.
car.
Oh,
This is actually not a. I guess this. I mean, this is actually a model that my grandfather built. So I guess technically it's not one of the die casts that you buy, but it's certainly one of my favorites.
I went with the William Byron Days of Thunder throwback die cast from Darwin.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Super clean.
Always
Went
a
along
good
with my
looking
shirt,
piece.
so thought I'd grab it today.
All
Yeah,
right.
Timothy, I think the model stuff is sometimes cooler though, because I've seen some really cool ones. Like you find them at, like the swap meets from time to time too. I've seen some really awesome stuff with those.
That's what I used to do when I was younger. Back when NASCAR models were like a big deal.
Yeah.
I would like build models on the weekend. And there's a store that's not far from here that still sells NASCAR models and all the NASCAR's throwback stuff that we go in there a lot and like buy some of the stuff from the 90s.
Damn.
Oh, that's
We need
awesome,
something
man.
like that in Chicago, boys.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right.
So
All right, Nick, what you got for your diecast of the week?
All right. Well, you guys know me. I'm a Trevor Bayne guy, so I busted out my favorite Trevor Bayne scheme. This is from 2012, the Leonard Wood inductee. I picked this one because this was the hardest one that was to find. Like, I was looking all over for this thing. I've seen it on eBay a couple of times, going for like $270, and I was just, I love Trevor Bayne, but I'm not going to pay $270 for a diecast. But then, luckily, I won it in an auction on eBay for like $35. So definitely one of my top three, and it's even
Nice.
signed by him too. So
Yeah.
had to bust that.
Hey, what race did he run that car? Do you remember?
2012. I think I want to say he ran it early in the year. I'm not too sure what the race is. I'll have to look in on that.
Nick,
All right,
you could have picked any car because you're full on N64 graphics right now, so we would have believed anything you said.
Yeah, honestly. Dude, I'm sorry. It's the light. I didn't get to choose the lights in the room in which I'm in. I just,
Damn
I
it, boy.
just, yeah, I don't.
I hear
All right,
you, but I'm still
Michael.
going to give you shit about it every time, though.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, for my diecast of the week, since he's in the center of controversy once again, because that seems to be all he does, Bubba Wallace, Victory Junction, throwback. I got the shirt to match on today, too, so I figured might as well bring the diecast out. So,
Damn it, boy.
yeah. All right, Ian, I know you got something big.
Oh, I got something big, and it's actually going to match my old school Kevin Harvick pit shirt. I got old 2003 Kevin Harvick good wrench car. My favorite, one of my favorite paint schemes of all time, boys. This is just an absolute beauty. My favorite gen of the NASCAR cars. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Hell yeah.
Respect.
Oh yeah.
Best NASCAR video game cover ever with that car on it, too. 05. That was a good one.
You're going to have to make me throw a wild card because I had a very similar paint scheme in my lineup. I'm gonna throw
what you got down there, Dakota?
I'm gonna throw a lateral since you went ahead and thrown that one. Originally, we were gonna go same paint scheme, 2003 Indy Brickyard 400 win, but we're gonna throw that one to the side and come straight banging with the 2007 Daytona 500, autographed by Richard Childress. Kevin kept walking, I couldn't get it, but we all remember who won and who he beat and how that one finished. But we'll just come out with that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I got
that car looks sick in person. We saw that car at the museum last year, and it was at the Hall of Fame, and it looks like it came like straight out of Daytona, USA. Like they didn't touch it or anything. It looks sick.
The coolest thing is in 07, me and my dad went to the July race after Kevin won it, and I was so stoked. I took pictures of the car, touched it, and everything. It was like, don't touch it. But I got to see the car in person when it was in Daytona that July.
Nice.
Yeah,
that was another good race. Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch coming side by side.
Yeah,
that was a good
race
one.
was freaking awesome.
The first time I got heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, boys.
All right, so guys, we had some news come out. We have the 2021 NASCAR Hall of Fame nominees. So we have Jeff Burton, Dale Jr., Carl Edwards, to name the big guys. So what do you guys think about that?
Who wants to go first?
Well, Connor and I have been having a debate about whether or not Dale Jr. is going to get in first ballot. And I just totally don't think so.
I put $100 on it. He goes in first ballot.
I just don't.
Yeah, I think you will.
I mean, because you've got names that you all didn't grow up around, but you've got Ricky Rudd, you've got Harry Gant, you've got Neil Bonnet. See, to me, at least two of those should go in before Junior goes in, and you can only pick two names off the list that Junior's included on. Right. So, I mean, it's a really hard argument to make that Junior is a lock to go in. I mean, Connor's, what's this guy's name? Mike
Stefanik. Don't disrespect.
Yeah. No, but he's got that famous video. He's got that famous video. It's like, I'm mad as shit.
I mean, like,
that's the guy. Yep.
A lot of people are convinced that he should definitely be in the Hall of Fame because of what he's got 9 NASCAR titles.
Yeah.
And so let's say, okay, if you agree with that, that leaves only one other pick from that list, and I got a hard time believing that Junior should go in before Harry Gant or before Neil Bonnet.
I think I kind of thought about it, and Junior, in my opinion, there's no doubt he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
But thinking about it, definitely Mike Stefanik I think should go in. I think he's been robbed the last few years. I mean, how do you ignore a guy who has 9 championships, who's done a lot for the sport? And, it sucks that he wasn't able to go into the Hall of Fame himself without being killed. But I don't know. So Stefanik was a lock for me. Really the two I kind of tossed around with as the other spot was Junior and Neil Bonnet. Obviously, both are deserving. But it's like, who do you put in first? And I don't think Junior, I think Junior's just honored to be in the nominees for the Hall of Fame. So I don't think he cares when he goes in. I think he knows he's going to go in. But I think that it would only be right if you're going to put Mike Stefanik in to pair him with Neil Bonnet. I think those two going in this year would be really special. And I think they're both super deserving. So those are the two I'd like to see in from the modern ballot.
So I still can't believe that Gant and Bonnet both aren't already in. When we were looking at the list this year, when it just came out the other day and we were all in the group chat talking, I was just blown away. Both those names were still up. that still haven't been voted in. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. I think Junior's probably going to go in first ballot just because, he's got the name recognition with everybody in racing now. So you're going to see all those people that have such a connection to him probably vote him in first. I think Dale himself, kind of like a couple of you guys been saying, would be perfectly fine taking a back seat to Neil Bonnet and Harry Gant both. And I think it would be rightfully so. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think it will be Dale Jr. and one of those two would be my guess, just guessing on how I think the voters are going to go.
You're wrong.
Dude, that's just it. It's the voters. Because honestly, yeah, Dale's going to go in, but I don't think he should be first ballot Hall of Famer. Because like we said, there's more guys more deserving of going in for Dale. But he's going to get it. He's going to get in at some point.
I totally agree. I don't think Junior should go in first ballot, honestly. But overwhelming who Junior is today's modern era, and it's freaking Junior. I think no doubt he'll go in first. There's some other guys on there. I was kind of like, what the I see Carl Edwards one day maybe making it when they kind of start running out of people to put in there. But I damn sure don't see him going in first ballot.
No,
I don't think Carl Edwards should have even been on the list this year.
I feel like it's too soon.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I don't think Junior should have been on the list this year. I mean, I know the rules are the rules, but I don't even think he should have been on the list this year.
I don't know. I don't agree with Jeff Burton being on the list, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the one that's weird is Burton.
Yeah.
That's the wild card for me is Jeff Burton.
He's won what, one or two Southern 500s, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
He's won some other races, but those are the big races that he won.
He's won 21 times in the Cup Series.
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, they're not. He never won a Daytona 500. Yeah. He never won a Brickyard 400. He has a Southern 500. But he just started broadcasting a few years ago. So,
right.
I just don't see him going in anytime soon at all. I mean, there's no doubt about it. What's that?
Do you think they should wait on him, or do you think he just doesn't belong?
Well, I think he could be somebody that pops. I don't know how they do the list now because drivers have been on the list and then they've been off the list. Like Greg Biffle used to be on the list and now he's off the list. So, I don't know if he should go off the list and then come back later. But I mean, I think Junior. I mean, I disagree with Junior going in. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to put money on it. I think the people that are going to do the voting, I think some of those people are going to look at the history of NASCAR and a little bit more and not just get all wrapped up in the hype of Dale Jr. and all of that.
All right, I got one for you. Timothy, let's put a wager on this. If we ever get there this year, we'll put a Martinsville dog on it.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
All right.
I don't even like Martinsville hot dogs.
Oh, that's not what the rumor around the streets are.
Just French fries. Just offer up French fries. I'll take those.
That's what I was looking forward to most.
You eat the hot dog, I'll eat the French fries.
All right, that's fair.
Like Martinsville hot dog, bruh.
No, they're disgusting.
Connor slap him.
Well, according to Connor, they're delicious.
They're not delicious. They have no flavor.
Don't listen to him. He has a horrible taste. He has a horrible taste in food.
Well,
like,
I guess
absolutely
part of the problem, maybe I eat a plain hot dog. So I don't put chili or anything on it or anything like that.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's a disgusting.
I think I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick.
Hey, you listen.
Nathan's hot dogs are the best.
United States of America.
Okay, hold on. Time out. I got a Chicago question for you.
Oh shit.
So, do you put ketchup on your hot dog?
No, I don't.
All right, good. All right, cool.
No ketchup allowed. It's either mustard and chili or just all the way. That's it.
There you go.
For you,
all right, cool.
For me,
I honestly don't even eat hot dogs that often, but if I did, yeah, all the way.
Yeah.
With ketchup? Oh.
I mean, whatever. I eat whatever the hell you throw at me. I don't eat whatever.
That's fair. I like the
only
seafood
hot dogs
diet.
I
Seafood, and I eat it.
Just saying, when you're in
The only hot
Chicago,
dogs I eat
people are
are
going to look at you
Pals.
funny.
Yeah.
see, I've been to
Hey,
Chicago.
y'all
I
go
go
to
to Chicago
Bristol?
all the time, but I only eat it like Chick-fil-A.
What the hell? Dude, that's all I've eaten for the last 3 weeks.
Chick-fil-A or Five Guys.
The Chick-fil-A app, I can
Five
just
Guys.
order it and they bring it to me.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
Five
we
Guys is
ever go to
pretty
Five
solid,
Guys
is
though.
good.
Pals?
Five Guys is just expensive, is what it is.
Yeah.
$70 for a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
It's
honestly.
expensive.
Yeah, right?
Way too greasy.
We're going to need a third of your
Expensive.
savings account, please, for that cheeseburger.
You get a lot of French fries though, and that's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
You really do. They give you like 4 people's worth of French fries with every burger.
Yeah. All right. So, we've all been in quarantine for a couple weeks now. So what have all you guys been up to? Let's start off with the For the Lead boys.
Well, I've been on like this workout craze, so I've been working out every day like it's the last day on earth. So I've been working out a lot and been spending a lot more time outside. Not proud to say I've been spending a lot more time on my phone. But yeah, I've just kind of been taking it day by day. I mean, it's really the only thing you can do around here. There's obviously nothing much else to do other than what you can do in your house. I will say though, it makes you get more creative. It definitely tests your creativeness in terms of like what you can do and how you can entertain yourself beyond watching Netflix and Tiger King and anything else out there. So really just been chilling and I've enjoyed the quarantine for the most part, but now I'm starting to get antsy and I definitely want racing back.
That actually, I don't normally agree with really anything that comes out of his mouth, but the fact that he talked about being creative, I would agree with that because, like, I don't really build a lot of things. I mean, if I buy like a bookshelf or something, I'll build it here at the house. But actually, like building something with like a saw or that type of things, and I am building an 8-foot by 8-foot, 15 feet in the air treehouse in the backyard. So, and I've had absolutely no help. I had to, 15 feet in the air, brace that treehouse to the tree and start all that. So I'm pretty proud of myself.
That's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
All right, Dakota, what have you been up to?
Well, literally, to be honest, not a lot has changed for me. I still go to work every day. If anything, traffic's better here in Atlanta. But I think everybody's starting to catch on and going out and stuff because traffic's slowly getting more and more. But if anything, I'll have more time to fish because I'm not watching the race all weekend.
Yeah, you're living the life down there is what it seems like.
I've been fishing my balls off, but my old lady's starting to get pissed. She's like, "You're not doing this next weekend." But so this weekend, I'm gonna go Saturday, and then I'm gonna spend the rest of the weekend with her and my daughter and just hang out. But I mean, I'm getting a lot of stuff done around the house. But I don't know. I'm not really. I've been started working out like Connor in the garage. I got a little garage gym, but it's been hard to find the motivation.
Well, just tell her you have the coronavirus and you have to quarantine yourself for 14 days and go away fishing on a fishing trip and come back.
On a boat.
Me and my buddies talked about that. We're like, dude, we ought to do that during hunting season. Just be like, oh man, like I got to go away for work. It's gonna be a long time. Can't come back, and then just go hunting and be like, oh yeah, have your buddies pick you up. Be like, oh, gotta go.
That's awesome.
Genius.
All right, Dalton, what you been up to, bud?
So I asked the Magic Conch what it wants me to do for these next 8 weeks, and it told me to do nothing. And that's what I've been doing.
Nice.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, I finally got my RC car back out, or like I just showed you, and my dog's been having fun with it. I've been chasing my dog around with it. So, and also, I've been doing a wood project myself. I built the NASCAR logo out of wood just now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. I've never been so proud of myself in my life.
Yeah, I was interested to see what all you guys were going to have to say with that because obviously we're all from different parts of the country. So, I mean, anything that, between Nikki and I that we say everything's going to be relatively similar because we're all within, what would you guys say, 15 miles of each other, if that? That might be too large a radius. But, I mean, we're between all of us here, we're all over the country. So it's interesting to see, like, how things are playing out by you guys versus where we're at and kind of vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't really, things are not, nobody's going to work and all that. And the stores are a little more complicated. They look different. You got to wait in line to get in or that type of thing. But, I mean, I'm working from home. I still go to the store. I still come back. Connor still comes over and eats all the food in the house every day, so nothing's really changed around here.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. I guess the only way I've really been affected by this is, I can't work, but I'm still getting somewhat paid, so I am thankful for that. But as I touched on our podcast the other day, every recreational business is closed, which means my barbershop is closed, and I'm pissed.
His hair
Your hair looks like.
All right, Nick, what have you been up to during the quarantine?
Well, it's been pretty boring. I can't go to work anymore. Well, I work at a grocery store, but my mom was like, "If you still want to live here, you're gonna quarantine with us." So I pretty much am out of it. Well, I'm not really out of a job because they technically can't fire you for that. So it sucks because I'm not getting much income coming in anymore. And then I go to school too, but all my classes are online, so that sucks because online classes for me don't really work well because I'm just not as much motivated to do it as if I was in school. And it's really hard for what I'm going for. I'm trying to be I got my degrees in journalism, digital broadcasting, so I'm used to being like on a TV set the whole time, and you can't really do that online like with these high clip cameras and everything. So you can't really do that on an online class. I got to use my phone. But other than that, the only freedom I really have is going outside to walk my dog. So I kind of find myself doing that more frequently than I did before this. But yeah, it's been watching some TV. I'm probably the only one here who still hasn't seen Tiger King yet. I don't know when I'm gonna cave in and finally watch it, but
Dude,
probably
you will love it.
I'm gonna do that pretty soon.
It's so addicting. I've watched it twice. It's
insane.
We had it on last night.
That's what I've been doing. I've just
It amazes me with
been
that show
hanging
how
out.
much ridiculous stuff happens that you don't realize because there's just so much other shit that's like so much more ridiculous that it's not even important.
It's changed my life.
I saw something the other day, and it was like the I can't remember his name, but the hired hitman to kill Carol. And when they were interviewing him, he was sitting in the bathtub in the trailer in his like little trailer park, and it was like the show is so crazy. Nobody even mentioned this shit that they interviewed him like sitting in the bathtub.
Yeah, right.
It's so true.
Or the one dude
the
rolls
scenes
up, he's got like one of those like 3-wheelers, and he's got a skeleton in the seat. Like nobody even talked about that. Like that's just normal in this show.
Every scene change is just like, I'm like, why am I watching this? And I'm like, I can't look away.
Yes, it's like a car crash. That's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna have to check it
Yeah.
out, I guess.
You
Godspeed,
absolutely
Joe
have to. The
Exotic.
fact that you haven't watched it, knowing you, this would be right in your wheelhouse too.
Yeah, clear your schedule because you're gonna watch all the episodes.
Well, my schedule's been pretty much cleared. I really have nothing to do, so it looks like
Yeah,
I'll
there
have
you
to
go.
jump on
Sounds
that after
right.
here. Mike, what have you been up to?
Honestly, life hasn't changed a whole lot for me. I'm technically an essential employee, so I still go to work every day. But they got us on like a half kind of schedule thing. So I work a week, then I take a week off.
That
So
sounds so awesome.
yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I get to keep full pay too. So like I said, it's not really hurting me at all. So on my days off, I kind of been one of those guys, been out and about walking around and stuff too. I've probably been walking 2-3 miles every day when I'm home. Wake up, get up, go walk around, stop at the store on the way home and get a Gatorade, then hang out, whatever I got to do here. Kind of let our room go for a little bit. So I spent the second half of this week getting my side of the room all cleaned back up. Nick actually appreciates that a lot, let me tell you. So
Yeah, I bet.
yeah. It was just crazy for me though when this first all started because I was working way up in Evanston by like where Northwestern University is. So and I live on the southeast side of Chicago. So like I'm going down like Lakeshore Drive, which would normally take me 2 hours to get home that way. I'm getting home in 40 minutes. Felt like I was on The Walking Dead when all this was first going down. It was crazy.
That's crazy. Man.
Try driving to Atlanta when there is nobody.
Yeah, you and I were doing it at the exact same time because you were putting pictures in the group chat like right as I was coming home from work too. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I'll tell you what, the last like day or two, the race withdrawals have really kicked in because I kind of had WrestleMania to get me at least my mind distracted on something else. So, but like once that was over, it's like, well, shit, now what?
That Squidward meme when he's looking through the blinds, that was it all day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been doing a lot of iRacing. I've been playing a lot of video games. I've been walking
Must be
my
nice,
dog.
man.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, it must be nice.
Yeah.
Ian's got like 16 hours on iRacing a day.
Holy
Yeah,
shit,
pretty
dude.
much.
All day yesterday, I seriously spent probably like 10 hours on the simulator. I went to bed and my arms were like on fire. Just how much resistance I get in that steering wheel. Holy crap, it puts a toll on your arms.
You're gonna come back out of this and have carpal tunnel.
Yeah, right. He's gonna have carpal tunnel and be like a professional, like an actual like Cup Series grade driver. At the end.
Yeah,
right.
Ian's gonna come out. His arms are gonna be like massive, just from all the resistance to the wheel and everything too.
Giant upper body and just like the smallest lower body. I'm gonna look like Joe Swanson on Family Guy.
Yeah, right. You're just gonna be straight arms bro is who you're gonna be. Just the only guy just does curls all day long.
Hell yeah.
Basically, I'll be hanging out with Matty D.
Hell yeah.
Oh boy.
Hey, do you iRace in your underwear? You got to channel your Matty D by that.
You know what? I haven't done
I don't
that
want to
yet,
know.
but
I've sat in your simulator seat. I don't want to know the
Cuts
answer to
weight.
that.
Less weight. Less weight in the car.
I thought he was.
Exactly.
I thought he was gonna say like Joe Exotic and say I don't wear underwear.
Fuck.
Oh,
God. Damn it,
Oh,
boy.
Oh, God.
But yeah, iRacing is fun, guys. It's definitely a hell of a lot different from playing NASCAR Heat because it's just so realistic.
Dude, I want to get a setup so bad.
I wish I had a rig, but I
I mean,
don't.
you can get a Timmy Hill setup. That probably costs him like $600.
I barely have time. I play NASCAR Heat 4 twice a week. Like I practice during the week and I race on Fridays. That's all I get. There's no way I can spend $1,000 to get a rig to play iRace.
Well, you're gonna get some money from the government, aren't you?
Dude,
Just,
don't get me started on that. I don't even want the government money. Like I don't even want it messing with my bank account.
Here, send it to me then.
I think it's good.
You take it.
I know how I'm gonna spend my stimulus check now. I'm gonna buy myself a solid setup, a nice little Timmy Hill setup, and I'll catch you on there.
Dude, our show's gonna shut down because my co-host won't be able to turn the iRacing off. That's just gonna be the show. It's just me behind you guys, like over the shoulder cameras all day.
Going at it.
Yeah, right.
Crazy.
So,
All right. So speaking of iRacing, how have you guys? What have you guys been thinking about all this new, provisional pro invitational series that they have going on here?
It was like this.
I think.
don't get me started.
I think it's been groundbreaking for iRacing. As if iRacing isn't popular enough, I think this really opened the floodgate for a lot of new users who really aren't familiar with NASCAR. And I think post coronavirus stuff, when we actually get back to what we consider normality and racing and stuff, I feel like iRacing will still kind of carry its weight with the Pro Invitational Series. I think you'll still have guys, once a week, like Byron and Timmy Hill and Garrett Smithley, the guys who regularly do it, will still kind of carry on in the league and kind of carry that over. And it'd be interesting to see if TV wants to, maybe allow like an hour slot to cover a race every week. I think it's going to become an even bigger thing than what it is now. And despite this past Sunday being a junk fest and somewhat an embarrassment and a black eye to the sport, I think it's served really well for, the quarantine. I think, we saw the numbers the other day, just completely lambasted the NBA 2K tournament that was broadcasted and stuff. And
Hell yeah.
So I think it's good, and I think a lot of drivers who don't usually iRace are starting to get more into it. Like Kyle Busch, for example, he joined the replacement series league the other night. I mean, he texted TJ Majors and he got into that league and he started racing, and he said he wanted to get more into it too. So I think it's gone really well so far, and I think it's gonna carry over after this.
Dude, Kyle Busch got crazy good fast.
Yeah, it took him like 3 weeks.
Right.
Over by people. Right.
Because like at Homestead, he was a lap down on after lap 1. So I was like, oh, okay. It's just kind of weird seeing Kyle Busch not being very good at this. And look at him now. He's up there competing for wins. He does the Wednesday night iRacing on the dirt. He's just trying to get as much in as he can. So I'm really impressed with Kyle Busch.
That's all he's doing. I'm sure he doesn't leave that seat.
Had he not had to race around Ryan Preece, who graduated from Robbie Gordon Driving Academy, he probably would have been top 3 on Sunday. But it seemed like Preece just crashed him every chance he got. But he's gotten good.
Ryan Preece won the first heat in the NBC short track series tonight.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, I think on Sunday everybody was just crashing into everybody. That was a mess. Like I almost just wanted to turn that off. But overall, yeah, I think it's really helped the sport out a lot. Like we're still, because you can't do this in any other sport. The NBA is trying to do it by playing 2K, but that's like an actual video game compared to this being like a simulator as real as it gets. So I think it's really helping the sport. I mean, Sunday was kind of just yeah, like you said, Connor, almost an embarrassment. But that's short track racing on iRacing. That's short track racing on like NASCAR Heat 4. You just guys out there, there's going to be a lot of crashes. So maybe going forward, kind of stay away from the short tracks a little bit.
No, just
Timothy, that's what
it'll
when
be
you and I
real.
were kind of going back and forth on Twitter, that's where we kind of agreed on too. It's like, yeah, we need to maybe short tracks, not the way to go.
I feel like there was too many people. I feel like there was
I
too
didn't
many
attack
people.
you on Twitter.
He verbally assaulted me, really, on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Tried to create this whole huge controversy, and I mean, that's because you're a Bubba Wallace fan. Is that right?
And you know, here's the guy that can't figure out why Daniel Suarez blocked him, but I attacked him. No, but honestly, I think for the most part, the iRacing stuff's been pretty awesome. After especially messing with it at Ian's house for a little while too, it's crazy how awesome that software is, how realistic it is too. I really like the way this whole Pro Invitational thing started, but I think about the last week or so, it's really kind of getting off the rails here. This last race here, that was just a shit show and a half, to be nice. I think all we were missing was somebody going the wrong way, and then somebody used the paintball gun cheat code, and it would look just like NASCAR Heat 4.
I mean, Clint Boyer damn near did that. He was just taking out people left and right when he was on the street just for fun.
I'm so over the Clint Boyer. Oh, I can't drive this thing. I need a beer. Like y'all are saying, it's just like, dude, like either get it together or don't race on it. There's half the guys can't do it, and half the guys are racing good.
Exactly. It's like for me, that's where the problem comes in. And this is why I think you're going to see growing frustrations week in and week out, because you've got half the field that are iRacers, that are dedicated iRacers, that put in hours and hours and hours into getting a 10th here, a 10th there, just getting better at the game in general. Then you've got a little contingency that's there every Sunday that aren't really iRacers. Admittedly, my boy Ryan Blaney's one of them, picked up a sim like 2 weeks ago, jumps right into the Cup Series. And there's a lot of guys that are out there like that are just kind of dicking around and do what they can do. If you're somebody who's taking it seriously, and like me, I'm hyper competitive in everything. Like ask Nick, like if I'm playing beer pong, if I'm not playing well, I am pissed. And I know guys like that, and I'm sure guys like Bubba are the same way. And nothing drives me.
Get Mike on Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64 if you really want to see him mad.
Yeah, it won't end well.
Yeah, but if you're super competitive and all that, and if it doesn't go your way, do you just up and quit and walk away?
Well, here's the thing of it. Nothing makes me more mad when something like that's going on than if I'm taking something crazy serious and it's a joke to somebody else. So in that situation, I probably would get so pissed. I'd be like, you know what? Screw this. I can find better ways to use my time. But and I think that's kind of what's happened with Bubba. I think Bubba does iRace all the time. He's a pretty serious iRacer. Then you get guys like that are wrecking you and, you know, kind of yucking it up with Mike Joy and Jeff in the booth and everything. And it's this big joke. I mean, for me, after a while, I'd be like, all right, then what are we really doing this for?
Yeah,
overall a sponsorship pulling out because of a video. I hate to say it, but like a video game simulator is kind of just really dumb in my mind.
Well, and here's my thing. Here's my thing. I don't want to say anything bad about iRacing. iRacing is a great tool. There's certain avenues of iRacing that are crazy competitive. Like we just interviewed Keegan Leahy not that long ago that does like the Coca-Cola iRacing series. Like what those guys do is crazy competitive, crazy realistic. That's awesome. But especially at the short tracks with these guys that we're watching on Sundays, like you can't tell me that it's this crazy competitive thing that's crazy serious. Like half the field takes it serious, half doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's the problem because like the guys who continuously run up in the top 5 to 7, I mean, those are the guys that you can almost count on every week. But then, you know, I feel like they almost get robbed short of guys like Clinton Boyer, who, I'll be honest, I think Fox has kind of fed into Boyer just being a shitty iRacing driver and has almost, you know, just prolonged him to be worse, like crashing the field. I don't know if you guys watched the qualifying race for this past Sunday, but I literally think he crashed the leaders every time they came by. And you know, as a dedicated iRacer, like that would piss me off too if I was like Garrett Smithley, Timmy Hill, who's put in the hours, and then you have Boyer who probably puts in 4 to 5 hours a week, shows up for Fox, and you know is almost
probably less than that. He probably just shows up on Sundays ready to go.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the Larson and Suarez deal that was purposely done.
Right.
The other incidents, I mean, were they so much purposely done, or were they just because the driver couldn't control the rig? Because everybody was laughing when Jimmy Johnson wiped out the entire field.
Yeah.
And so why are we not laughing about somebody else just losing control of their rig and wrecking cars?
Because it's one thing to do it one time. I mean, Jimmy had like an F1 rig, so he didn't even have the right rig. He didn't really know what he was doing, and it's one thing like your first time, like okay, but like Boyer has kind of just been a moving chicane every week, and and maybe to his defense, I think Fox puts it a lot on his shoulders to be quote unquote entertaining, because I think if he was running up like top 3 and minding his own business, it wouldn't be as entertaining for Fox, and it wouldn't give Mike Joy and Jeff and Larry something to talk about and rag on them on. So, I think he kind of plays into that.
Boyer openly said on the broadcast, "Oh, I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna go wreck him." So that's kind of where you just it's kind of embarrassing for the sport when you got guys going out there to do that. That's what kind of takes away from the guys who actually take it serious and the guys who are doing this just for fun or as a joke. And that's where Boyer is getting to, and it's kind of getting out of hand a little bit.
Have y'all watched any of the NBC races? The
here and there,
series?
a few laps.
Yeah, I watched yesterday at The Rock.
I keep forgetting that they're on because they come on at 7 here. And but they're only running like 6 dudes in the motos or the heat races, and they go pretty smooth and flawlessly. I just think there's so many inexperienced dudes at Bristol, it was a shit show.
Yeah.
But the NBC series is going pretty good, and the championship race tomorrow, I'm going to try to watch that if I remember.
Yeah, I think that's going to be 18 drivers tomorrow at Martinsville.
Yeah, that should go okay, I reckon.
Yeah, but my whole thing about the Bubba thing is you have a sponsor that is paying for you in this race and putting up money in this race. So I don't know how what he did is okay if he's got a sponsor that was paying money for him to do this.
Did any of y'all listen to Dort?
Well, I know he didn't get paid, he got fired.
Well, no. Petty told him, listen, everything that went down, we're not going to invoice you. So they ended up getting free advertisement out of it anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Did you hear Door Bumper Clear when they talked about it? Or if any of y'all listened to it?
Yeah,
I didn't hear them this week yet. No.
They were talking about it and saying that they didn't even pay Bubba, and then that there's two sides of it. Bubba used both his resets. There's no point in the car's uncompetitive. What the hell's the point? If it was a regular race, would Bubba have still ran when he couldn't have gone out and the sponsor bitched about it? No. But I mean, just like a real life race, his car was done. It was over. He turned it off. He was frustrated.
Yeah, there's no points to be got there.
But the Twitter bullshit with the Blue Emu thing, I think that just was handled totally
the way
unprofessional.
Blue Emu handled it was really unprofessional. I think they could have done that a little bit better if they were really doing this. I think
the way that I was that you tweeted me on Twitter was could have been handled a lot differently.
Oh boy.
Well, I guess on the flip side of that, I mean, I don't think many people talk about this, but Bobby Labonte dropped out after like lap 3. He said, "I'm done," and he's driving for Gibson 19, who Auto Owners was his sponsor. So it's like, when does it become an issue of dropping out versus it's Bubba doing it?
Exactly.
But Bobby didn't go run his mouth on Twitter afterwards.
Okay, but that's the thing though. For me, being a Bubba guy, there's good and bad. There's times I'm going to agree with him. There's times I think he needs to keep his mouth shut. But the one thing I'll always have the utmost respect for when it comes to Bubba's going to keep it real. Bubba's going to tell you what he thinks. He's not going to give you hey, I just want to go back and, I want to thank my sponsors and give you the your carbon copy NASCAR driver answer for everything. He's going to tell you what he thinks. He's going to tell you what's going on in his mind. It's going to get him in trouble. It's going to make him look really cool and really funny at times. But that's him. And if that's the stuff that's going to happen with Bubba, it is what it is. So I feel like that's one of those things. I feel like Kyle Busch is like that from time to time, too. He tells like it is. And I feel like that's one of the reasons. But I think he gets masked a lot because he wins, too. So he's not going to get as much of the outcry because he's got the success to back it up. I just think with the Bubba thing, a lot of people were saying, like, I listened to your guys' show, Timothy and Connor, while I was walking today. Like, Joseph Lombard was on there saying, like, Bubba didn't say anything in his stream and this, that. I was watching on his Twitch. He even said, he goes, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. It's just really hard to take this serious when you got shit like this going on. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for tuning in. And then he got out. So it's not like he just completely turned everything off.
Yeah,
so he needs to explain that.
I think he had a respectable exit. I mean, he was like, you can't even do this shit, and he was like, y'all take it easy. I think he had like a respectable exit. Honestly, I wouldn't want to. I'm super competitive too, and if somebody's just crashing me, if I know I'm going to waste the next 2 hours getting crashed and stuff, it's going to continuously piss me off. I'm not going to do it.
But didn't he park his car in the middle of the track?
Well, it disappears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in iRacing, it disappears once you come to a stop. So that's kind of like the stock thing to do, right, Ian? You're the guy with 3,000 hours this week on it. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, when you get in a wreck and it's just completely like torn up, you can't move it at all. You have to make it go to a complete stop, and then you can hit the reset button when you're back in victory, or not in victory, in pit road. And
That's all you got to do to get to victory lane. Holy
yeah,
shit.
bud. Yeah. But yeah, then it brings
I
you to
thought
pit
he did it
road, and
like
you got to
10
wait
laps
like
into the
2
race.
Yeah.
Well, because he got wrecked twice by lap 9.
Yeah.
He was in both wrecks.
Yeah. He got
Yeah,
wrecked twice.
Boyer hit him twice within like 3 turns.
By Boyer.
I also feel like we haven't had anything to gossip about in the last month. So this was
Probably
like the
doesn't
first
help.
thing where it's
This
like,
is perfect.
oh shit, racing.
Yeah.
right.
Well, listen, like my whole point with everything, like when I was tweeting with you, Timothy, my whole point with all of it was I think we kind of got to reel it back a little bit with it just from this. It's like this iRacing thing was supposed to be like a fun, lighthearted thing to kind of give us something to watch while we didn't have real racing. And now we're getting to the point like Suarez is getting death threats on Twitter, getting called all types of racial slurs. You know, Bubba's getting the left and right. It's like, guys, this is a simulated race. Let's reel it back a little bit. Let's put it back into perspective as to where it is.
All I
points,
did was
no
tell
money.
Daniel Suarez that he was a dirty driver, and he blocked me.
I don't think Daniel Suarez should have ever got a rig. I don't think he's ready for this.
I really think they're going to get back to racing on
honestly.
Sundays, and him and Larson are going to have a real problem because it's a couple times now they've been
Oh, I
tangling.
agree.
That's gonna be so funny.
I hope it. I really hope.
For
I really
iRacing.
hope.
Dude,
Oh, yeah,
Can you
Timothy,
imagine
don't worry,
that we're
man.
going to have virtual beefs that kind of spill over into the real life racing
That would
world
be
here?
great.
That'd be
Right.
so wild.
Timothy, don't worry, man. I got blocked by Brandon Jones.
oh Lord.
Yeah, we still have no idea why.
Oh, God knows what.
The only thing I can think is he watched the podcast one time because we went on a little roll. Like my first couple of shows of you guys, there were like 7 weeks in a row. All we did was just shit him like left and right.
Yeah.
It's probably these little fuckers.
Yeah.
Don't drag this
It
game
used
to
Fucking
the
sign
30
autographs from these guys,
Hey, what-
Chicagoland,
He was
dickheads.
looking up all y'all like, God,
It
screw
used
him,
to
screw
be
him.
I would
Yeah.
just go on a rampage about Natalie Decker almost every week, but I've kind of calmed that down since I kind of reeled it back in.
Well, I should have blocked Mike. I mean, he called me a loser on Twitter. He called me an old NASCAR fan who didn't need to be a fan anymore of the sport.
What?
Which Mike you talking to?
Yeah, wait, what? Opposite here?
Man,
Dang,
I
boy.
said Dakota's usually the one putting the old man jokes in the group chat, not me.
Oh, hell, I'm like second oldest. Or third.
Oh,
hell.
what? The group chat that I'm not in?
Hey, get it out.
Oh,
Fuck.
shit.
Hey,
Because
I-
someone doesn't want to use data?
Damn it, dude.
Exactly.
It burns up a lot of my data, and
Dude.
I'm horrible at checking Snapchat.
Dude,
responded
I
when
can't even
posted
Yeah,
stand
that-
well, I feel left out.
I can't stand looking at green
You're forever in
messages.
our hearts, bro.
Yeah,
Dude, look-
our name used to be Ian Forever in our hearts, so
Yeah.
we.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank
After
you.
you, the post office is still open, so I'll take my old iPhone, I'll wrap the shit up, and I'll send it right up to Chicago for you, just so you can use it for the
Well,
for the.
it'll sit in the box because he's just iRacing all day. He doesn't have
Yeah,
time to
Yeah, I don't have time to check that. Come on,
We're
man.
gonna get Ian one of those little cell phone holders. I got one in my truck that you put on the vent so you can see it while you're driving. He'll have that up to
There
his
you go.
iRacing rig.
Oh,
That'd be
yeah.
sick.
Oh my God, that'd be
He's
awesome.
gonna be the first dude in the history of iRacing to get pulled over for texting and driving.
There you go.
That
Dude,
should be
I-
Alex Bowman.
I can't stand looking at the green text message. It just irritates me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
God,
It's
don't
nice
get him
when it's
going.
Just get an iPhone. They
Hey.
run so much better than your
Yeah.
little pixelated crap that you got here.
Oh,
I'm
I said,
sorry.
you guys thought I
Can
had a
you
lot to
use
say about
YouTube
iRacing.
MP3?
Don't get him going on iPhone. We'll be here until racing will be back and Ian will still be going.
All I can say is YouTube to MP3. YouTube to MP3. You can't do it. You can't do that on iPhone.
I can do that on my MacBook though, so.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have to download it onto your phone. That's gonna take a few minutes.
I mean,
5 seconds. I can do.
honestly, wouldn't know how to work anything other than an iPhone. I've seen Samsung be like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah. I had iPhone and I just did not like it.
Hey, it's tit for tat, man. It's like shoes. Everybody likes their own stuff.
True that. True that. So let's just go back into the iRacing deal for a sec. So do you guys think that they should limit the field for the Pro Invitational to like maybe 20 or 25 cars?
I would like that.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Or
Yeah,
15,
yeah,
even 15.
I like the idea of a shortened field, specifically on like shorter tracks, like tracks like a mile and below. Like I think it should be like, honestly, I think the money like cars in there should be like 17 to 22 on like shorter tracks. Tracks a half mile and over, I don't really care. Like 25 to 30 would be cool with that, but definitely I don't think we should have 30 cars running around Bristol.
No.
I feel like they're going to need a shorter field for Talladega here in about 3 weeks.
So
Yeah, I
that's
feel
gonna
like
be
the
fun.
center plate's gonna be the same way.
The plate races are going to be fun.
Those are going to be insane.
Yeah, I
Oh my
think-
God.
Those are gonna. Those might be even
Get ready
worse.
for Talladega.
I think
Those
they
might
should
be even
just
worse
run.
than Bristol.
I think they should run 2 races on Sundays and just do a draw for who in each of the 2 races. Half
would actually-
split the
That's
field
not
in half,
bad.
and you just do a draw who's in those races, and then they go and qualify for their race, and that's how they do it.
Yeah.
I like
Then
that.
I also think what needs to happen. I think they need to get rid of these quick fixes. Once you trashed your stuff, you're out. That'll help limit the amount of cars that are in that wreckage, because
Well,
had they have done that on Sunday for Bristol, the field would have been really, really small. So they gotta either get rid of those quick fixes and start getting people on here. We're gonna take
my man.
this man's cracking one on the show.
I was waiting for one of y'all to notice.
So, well, I think the question really needs to be that we kind of got to at this point define, what do we want this to be? Do we want it to be like actually kind of competitive? Do we want it to be fun? Like, what do we want? Because I think that's going to kind of dictate the direction you take it. I think if you want it to be fun and lighthearted, there's some things you could do there. Kind of leave it some of the way it is and just, hey, this is what it is. It's supposed to be fun. If it's supposed to be a little more competitive than that, then yeah, you got to have more qualifiers to get in, shorter field, so that way only the competitive drivers are in the field racing, stuff like that. Maybe you do split it into 2 groups. You got your A's and your B's, and you kind of got to race your way in or something like that. Because I think kind of given this thing, they're still kind of flying by the seat of their pants as to the format each week, and they've admitted so. So I think part of that is just kind of getting the identity for what it is.
I feel like trucks through Cup, everybody should qualify. You know, top 20 qualifiers, whatever, take 5 from 4 races, top 5 make it, and then so you have 20 legit dudes who race their way in. Not like, oh, dude, I don't know how to drive this damn rig, haha. Everybody that's in the main will be legit.
Yeah.
The biggest question I have is, how come like actual pro iRacing drivers like Keegan aren't allowed to qualify? Like, why aren't these kids getting a good opportunity to race against Cup guys on there and kind of get themselves exposure? You know, maybe not their goal is to like actually make it to like Cup, but just like I feel like they're pros. Like at iRacing, they should be able to have the opportunity to qualify and race with these guys. I mean, I think that would be huge for their career, and that would, I think that's fair. You know, they've earned it in my opinion too. I mean, what separates them from people like Joey Gase and stuff who hop on iRacing and can qualify their way in, quote unquote.
Right. I totally hear you, man. And
Is that the same computer you do these iRaces on?
hell no, man. I got a gaming computer. I can show you guys.
Hey, show us the setup, boys. Show us the setup.
Yeah,
Look
hey,
at that bar
don't get
stool.
him started on his Windows
Damn, dude.
95. He's got
Look at that
iRacing.
room. Is that your room?
That's our set.
No,
I know.
this is the basement, man. This is the
that's
studio.
that's our set for the show.
That's all yours? Man, I feel like a little girl. Look at all that. Oh, dude, that flag's sick.
And then here,
Oh,
Thank you.
dude.
and
I can barely see.
here's my
but okay.
computer.
Oh, man, yeah.
It's a solid setup.
See, I've looked at rigs, but I'm like, dude, I can't spend the money just to play this once a month.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd be
dude.
on it all the time. I'd quit my job. I would quit my job, drop out of school. You'd catch me on there all the time. I'm gonna try and
dude.
make it as
If
a
my-
professional
if my-
iRacer.
Oh yeah.
If my old lady ever leaves me, I'm definitely getting one.
And then I got my
I
buddy.
stole mine.
I got my buddy Kurt over here.
Hey,
I got Kevin,
boy, dang.
and I got the King with me.
Oh, shoot.
You got you
Damn,
tell him
boy.
the truth though. You got drunk Kevin Harvick. That dude falls over on us
Yeah, he
at
falls
least
over
3
all the
times
time.
a day that we hang out.
Oh
It's
shit!
hard.
Here it comes.
Did it again.
Oh,
Chase!
William Clyde, is that you?
Y'all know the story behind that?
I
do
remember on the
tell.
podcast, y'all talked about like,
So rain delay Daytona 500 this year. We parked maybe, I don't know, maybe 100 yards away from the track at a gas station. And
which one?
so,
Which gas station?
it might be the Sunoco, like
Right
right
across
outside
the street?
One.
Right across
Yeah,
the street?
yeah.
By the Checkers?
Yeah. And so we parked there, and we're walking back to the car, really thinking it's done at this point. So we walk back to the car, and we decide, let's go in the store. So we walk in the store, and I grab Chase, and I'm like, buy me, Timothy. And then he grabs Chase, and the workers like, no, put him down. And like Timothy
What's
was
Timothy
like,
drinking over there?
Timothy, he's got wine. He's got wine.
Straight from the bottle of wine. I like
take
your
it.
style,
We'll
sir.
take it, Timothy. We'll take it.
Yeah, I'll cheers that.
He offers the worker. He says, all right, I'll give you $100 for him. And the worker's like, nope, it's not worth losing my job over.
I think I said $500.
I think you said $500 at one point.
Yeah,
and then
I would have never ever done that.
He's like, nope, not worth losing my job. So we're like, all right. So we walk out, and like the other female employee
She's like, honey, come here.
She comes running out. She's like, wait, y'all want Chase? And we're like, yeah. So Timothy's like, I'll give you $50. And she's like, all right, bet. So here we are walking back to the car in the rain during the rain delay with Chase Elliott. We put him in the car. So he's come a long way from it. We stole him from Florida.
That's awesome. That's legendary.
And I had this little hatchback car that I rented to drive down there, and literally his head. Well, if we were sitting in the driver's seat, I would look up and his head would be right there looking at me because he went from all the way to the back of the car all the way to the front of the car.
Yeah, he was tickling my head on the way home, all the whole ride home.
That's so cool.
Hey, my dad stole an Eric Jones hood from the Children's Hospital.
Oh, jeez.
What?
That sounds like a crime.
No, I'm just kidding.
Police?
Okay, so my dad actually works at the hospital, and last year Eric Jones had a special Children's Hospital paint scheme for the Bristol Spring Race, and
I remember that. It was
the backup
weird
car.
looking.
Yeah, they got the hood from the backup car, and then they just put it in the Children's Hospital lobby. And my dad, asked the lady
Ian's
at the front
back.
desk, saying, does anybody ever mess with that? She was like, no, not really. And then about a month later, Dad said, if nobody wants it, I'll have it. And she said, sure, go ahead. So.
Man.
Yeah, non NASCAR people, like, they don't even know what the hell stuff is. You know, in gas stations and liquor stores, see all that stuff. You're like, hey, can I have that? Like, oh,
Yeah, right. Nick, tell the story with your dad. Your dad's finessed like every liquor store in like the southwest suburbs for all their Budweiser
Yeah, honestly, half of the stuff that you see in my dad's basement, all of his Budweiser stuff, he's probably gotten it from a liquor store or a gas station. He'll just walk up to them and be like, "Hey, how much for that?" And then they just say, I don't know, you can just have it or something like that. I don't know if he's actually paid for any of that stuff. But yeah, like, okay, we were at a go-kart track once, and it was like a half go-kart track, half arcade, and then they had like a Dale Jr. poster in there that it was like a prize that you'd have to win. So instead of like collecting tickets or anything, he just straight up walked up to the person at the counter and said, "I'll give you $50 for that Dale Jr. poster." And because it was like 200 tickets or something like that, I don't even know what it was. So she accepted it. He paid $50 and he walked out with a nice Dale Jr. poster.
that's how my dad got this car right here. He was in a gas station. He was like, "Hey man, like I'll give you some money for that car." And they were like, "Yeah, whatever." My dad gave him $20. He gave me this big ass gas station blow up.
That's awesome. $20. What a steal. Yeah, no, Nick's dad's
Dakota,
basement.
My dad's got one like that with Rusty Wallace.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Nick's dad's basement is like a Budweiser Dale Jr. shrine / museum. Like to the point where he could charge admission. And like you go around there like, "Jim, where'd you get that?" "Oh, Famous Liquors." "Where'd you get that?" Famous Liquors." "Where'd you get that?" Famous Liquors. You need to put like sponsored by Famous Liquors on the walls down there.
I want to start like a hashtag like NASCAR in the wild, and like always whenever I see NASCAR stuff, like just randomly, I want to take pictures and post them. I actually saw a Chase Elliott fan this morning at the gas station. Some old dude was walking out. He had a camo and orange 9 hat. And I was telling my buddy at work, I make him listen to all my NASCAR stuff. I was like, oh, look. I was like, Chase Elliott fan in the wild. And some old guy walking by, and I'm not no guy to be like, "Hey, man, you like Chase Elliott?" But I just let him go, and I was like, oh, wow, other people like NASCAR.
Honestly, Ian, tell him the story of how me and you met.
All right, so me and Nick, we were in the same journalism class.
Hell yeah.
And I think the first day I was wearing like a Dale Earnhardt jacket, and he said, he was just like, "Oh, a NASCAR fan." And so I saw him walk in with a Daniel Hemrick hat, and I'm like, Daniel Hemrick, that's a pretty obscure driver for like a random person.
Not everybody wears a Hemrick hat.
Yeah, right. I was like, he could have been wearing like a Gordon hat or a Junior hat. And I'd be like, okay, he's just wearing that because it looks cool. He's a poser, whatever. But no, it was a Hemrick hat. And I was like,
y'all were both
right.
judging each other. Y'all were judging each other for
and I was like, all right, this guy knows his NASCAR. And then I just told him, like, look, listen, I've been planning to do a podcast for like a year now, but I don't have any friends that like NASCAR because, we're in the Chicago area and people think that NASCAR is just for rednecks or whatever. But
yeah.
So I found this guy, and then we started it up, and then
and then the Stock Car Spectacle was born about a month and a half later.
And then we went to Chicagoland, and then Mike came along.
How'd y'all meet Mike?
So Nick's older sister is my girlfriend.
Yeah?
We've been dating for about 5 years, 4.5, almost 5 years now. So
this just got juicy.
I inherited Nick and my little brother in about 2015. So
wow, that sounds like a whole story.
No, it's actually pretty cool. Like I said, we started dating, and him and I like just kind of hit it off on the bat like that. So
you like NASCAR before y'all met?
What's that?
You like NASCAR before y'all met?
Yeah, so I liked it a lot growing up. I watched it from probably I'd say like 97, 98, all the way until probably like junior year of high school. I watched it pretty good. Then I'd catch a race here and there, but I never really kept up a whole lot because I didn't have anybody to watch it with. Like I said, up here is like finding somebody who likes NASCAR is like, you like NASCAR too? No way. Like it's like a huge thing.
It's hard to find out here. I started hanging out with them, like him and his dad more. And like they're like, yeah, we're gonna watch Daytona 500. You in? I'm like, NASCAR fans? Hell yeah, I'm down.
That's awesome.
For a while, I got him on the Trevor Bayne bandwagon, so I recruited him.
Shit. Poor bastard.
Trevor Tree is pretty good at the track. It's hard to argue with that one. So yeah, and then one night at Chicagoland, Ian walks up to me, and we were having a couple adult beverages, and he goes, "Hey, you seem to like to talk about NASCAR." I was like, "Yeah, I do. I can bullshit with the best of them." He goes, "All right." You're on our show now. Like, didn't ask. Just like straight tones. Like, okay, you're on our show.
Oh, yeah.
Right, cool.
Hell yeah.
It was fantastic, man. Look what we got now.
Look what's happened in the last year. Cannot complain there.
Dude, we literally need to do this like once a week or all the time or something. We don't even have to record your show. We could just get on here and talk shit.
Exactly.
A weekly checkup, make sure we're all still breathing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Sorry, a whole new damn show.
Well, hey, Darian Gilliam and his little group of friends, they do like their weekly podcast this way too, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Dude,
Let's start a weekly podcast, boys. How about that?
There we go. Hey, Dalton's got a podcast now. Let's go.
Hey, Dalton's in the game.
There we go.
I'm the only guy in this group that does not have like a YouTube channel or a podcast.
Dude, mine don't even count. Mine's Snickle Fritz. Dude, every time I message those dudes and talk to them and stuff, like the big famous YouTubers, like I've had a couple of message you back. Rusty Walrus has been the coolest. Like he always messages me back and we talk shit. But like I feel like every time I talk or meet them at races and stuff, they're like, yeah, hey man, whatever. And I'm kind of like, look, like I'm following your YouTube crap. I'm seeing you in the wild. Like, what's up, man? And then but I feel like
in the wild.
I feel like they're getting so much following on YouTube, which is awesome for them. But I feel like it's almost like an ego thing. I'm like, dude,
their heads are getting way big from that.
I can attest to that because in Daytona when I didn't even know that was a meetup. And so Darian just texted me because we were supposed to link up later and see like what they want to do if they want to come go-kart racing with us. So he was like, meet me outside the Wendy's, the pop-up Wendy's outside the track. So I was like, all right, cool. So I walked over that way. Timothy threw a fit because he was cold and he needed a dip, so he wanted to go sit in the car. So I went and like it was like a whole bunch of the YouTubers there, and I was waiting on Darian. I was just sitting there chilling, and out of the corner of my eye, hauling ass. Here comes Dakota and his dad on a bike, and he like pulls up and he's like, hey, like you guys are NASCAR YouTubers and like knew all of us and shit. And I was like, oh shit, like this is cool. Like, oh yeah, you're Dakota. Like I just messaged you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I've been messaging y'all before, or I was messaging for the lead or for the lead.
Fah The Lead.
And
see, I never even heard of Fah The Lead until Connor messaged me the very next week after Daytona.
Yeah, because I didn't know that Dalton sat right beside us at the Daytona 500. Didn't even know it. Didn't even know.
That's crazy.
That's why I started listening to y'all like in the last summer. I just came across it on Twitter or something. And I was like, I was kind of listening, and I was like, oh, these guys, you know, they're NASCAR fans like me, and they're talking about racing. I was like, production quality is really good. So I just kind of started listening every week with my other podcast. And then y'all kept talking about Daytona, and I was like, I already knew I was going with my dad. And I was like, I want to try to meet these dudes. And y'all were like the only ones that messaged back. I messaged other dudes like, hey, I'm going to Daytona too. Never replied or anything. I went to Bristol last August, and I messaged a bunch of them like, hey man, y'all all going to Bristol. It'd be cool to meet a bunch of y'all. None of them messaged me back or replied back, which I'm sure they get tons of messages and bullshit tags all the time. But it's just, I'm kind of like, all right, dude, whatever. But like, you guys messaged back, and now we're friends.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I wish I knew you last year. I was at the Bristol night race.
Yeah, I've gone to Bristol night race 3 out of the last 4 years. Well, I used to go all the time, but now I've been making sure out here. Yeah.
Well, hey, Timothy and Connor, I got a pretty kind of similar story with your guys' show too. Like, I started listening to your guys' podcasts like way before Nick and Ian even started, like even knowing each other. I remember one of the first things you guys shared was from your guys' old studio, the Trevor Bain helmet. And I think I messaged you guys, messaged back or whatever. And like, he's reaching for it. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
see, I knew I liked you guys. I knew I liked you guys.
That is sick. He's gonna message y'all after this, like, hey, how much y'all want for that?
I've seen those things on the internet. I have yet to get one, but I actually have in our studio.
Hey, Nick has one of the pit crew helmets like that. We made him shoot one of our shows with the helmet on the one time.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
We tried to. There's a bar that runs like between this thing, and like we tried to get it out so we could put it on, but like the bar is like damn near welded on there, so you can't like.
Hey.
Oh hell yeah, that's sick.
Nice.
I paid $140 for that.
Have
the
you
guy
met
was
Trevor
originally.
yet?
Oh me, yeah. I've met Trevor at Chicagoland for like 5 straight years. I
yelled at him at Daytona.
I met him at a Ford dealership in Bristol. Like the same year he won the Daytona 500. I remember I got done with football practice, and me and my dad were just driving around Bristol for, I think because my sister had a guitar practice, we just drove around just to find something to do, and we drove by this Ford dealership near Bristol, and we saw Trevor Bain's car there, and I was like, whoa, and then Dad just turns right around, parks in that dealership, and so I said, I wonder if Trevor Bain's in there. Dad's like, son, I really don't think he's in there. But then 2 girls come out with his autograph, and Dad looks in the window and said, well, son of a gun, he is in there. So
hell yeah.
He was just wrapping up. So I was lucky to get a picture with him and an autograph. So it was pretty cool.
Trevor's a great guy, man. That's one of the reasons, like with Nick, I jumped on the bandwagon so well. Like the first year we came to Chicagoland, or with him, where I did the full weekend, we saw him getting out of his car to qualifying. We're like, Trevor, we're yelling to him. He's like, instead of like us run up to the fence and him like signs like, no, you guys stay there, I'll come to you. Like he came around, talked with us for 15, 20 minutes, signed everything we wanted. Nick got famous on the 6-team Twitter account
I
that
did
day.
get famous on 6-team Twitter.
And then he did that with us like every year.
I tweeted at the 6-team so much that I took a picture, or there was a picture of Trevor signing my diecast that I brought for him to sign. And then it said, T-Bane 6 signs an autograph for our #1 fan at Zelly24. Like, they knew who I was because I tweeted at them all the time. So I was like, shit, let's go.
That's freaking awesome.
I'll just on Kyle Busch's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
We get it, Dalton.
Yeah, you are Kyle Busch.
We get it, man.
Yeah, Dalton is Kyle Busch.
You ought to just be his PR guy.
I'm going to flex on y'all.
All jokes aside, though, Trevor Bain's okay. For one, I don't understand how he doesn't automatically qualify for the iRacing like pro invitational races.
Because NASCAR hates him.
Yeah, for 2, his paint scheme for those races is by far the best. Like his coffee shop paint scheme, like I love it.
Yeah, it's sick. So hey, one of us should do a show where we interview Dalton, make him wear the sunglasses, and say it's Kyle Busch, and see how long it is for anybody actually even catches on.
Yeah. I
give it like 45 minutes before anyone's like, wait a minute.
Dalton, just shame, and we'll be like, we got Kyle Busch on the show.
Well, hey, Bristol. Every year I go to Bristol, someone asks me, hey, can I have your autograph, Kyle? Can I have your autograph? I'm like, I'm not Kyle, but okay. I had a guy that asked me, say, hey, can we just take a picture of you since you look like Kyle Busch? Just say we met the real Kyle Busch. I'm like, okay.
Damn, dude.
Back last year's Daytona 500, back in 2019, like Dale Jr. came to the Chevy tent before the race, and like Connor was videoing, and they picked me to ask him a question. So once we got back, we we put, it was basically Dale Jr. joins the Fah The Lead podcast. And we tossed him one question interview with Junior.
NASCAR's #1 podcast.
That's backed by factual evidence,
Backed
right?
by somewhat factual evidence.
That shit cracks me up every week.
That's awesome.
All right,
Dude,
so hey, I got a question for you guys. How wild was it interviewing Mayfield?
Oh shit! Well, I wasn't there for
He
that.
wasn't even there. It was just me.
Oh, that's right. That's when you were on your hiatus. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on my
Timothy
hiatus.
done put the hoodie in.
We couldn't reach a contract agreement,
Yeah.
so Connor was walked.
Damn.
It was pretty surreal because I didn't know what he was going to say, and I was kind of being very careful about, I don't know what he wants to talk about, but then he just was like, he just went in and it was like, I'm going to just say whatever I want to say, and Brian France and all that. And it was like, it was kind of a surreal moment, to be honest, sitting there.
Yeah.
Because I was just sitting by myself here in the studio and he's on the phone, and it's like, holy shit. He's sitting here bashing Brian. Mayfield's on the phone with me, and it's just me and Mayfield, and he's bashing Brian France.
Yeah, that was a crazy one to listen to. So
that's so cool.
Mayfield, I got family. Most of my family's from Kentucky, and he's from Owensboro. My family's from about 40 minutes from there. So, he was always one of my favorite guys kind of growing up until all this craziness comes out. And then he did that Dinner with Racers podcast. I don't know if any of you guys have ever listened to that, but if you don't do anything, listen to his interview on Dinner with Racers, because he does this thing where he tells the whole story to him as to how he got blackballed, and most of the stuff that he got in trouble for was more of a conspiracy. And I'll be honest, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but enough of it's like, shit, there might actually be something to some of this. It's that good.
The best part of it was he ended the phone call with Timothy was, yeah, bud, call me back anytime. I'd love to talk.
We should call him up
please.
right now. Let's get Nathan on the phone right now. Oh, man.
Hell yeah.
Shit.
So, what's the best driver interaction that all of you guys have had?
Well, Dalton just kind of
Joe,
pushed no
man,
doubt.
I got plenty of them.
We're just gonna mute Dalton. Mute Dalton for a minute.
I wonder who Dalton's just going to say his doppelganger. It's going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah, driver interview.
You know what's
Driver
true, I was gonna
one-on-one
say it. I'm just
driver
gonna
for
say
us.
it.
I think
Hey,
Timothy and I can both agree our best driver experience was leaving Martinsville after Saturday last fall. It was practice day and qualifying day, and Martinsville was nice enough to give us media credentials. So we had just left the media center where all the drivers were kind of doing their interviews, and we're just walking out of the track, and right when we step out of the media center and cut a left, Chase Elliott comes walking by, and he's got fans all around him. But then the fans
Timothy was like,
the fans sign and kind of dip off a little bit, and they kind of go their separate way. But Chase was headed in the same direction we were, because we were parked in the media lot right beside the driver's lot.
that's so awesome.
So Chase was like, well, we got to hop this fence. Y'all got to hop it with me. So we hopped the fence with them, and we talked to Chase maybe for 2-3 minutes, and it was the most genuine, down-to-earth, chill conversation while we were walking. And then he hit the crowd, and the crowd surrounded him, and we went our separate ways. But that was the coolest shit ever. We're just walking off into the sunset after practice day at Martinsville with Chase Elliott. That was pretty damn cool.
For that 60 seconds or less, I was free.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I like about NASCAR right there, though. Here's the dude that's the most popular guy in the sport. Could have every reason to have a big ego and be a dick, but no, he was just down to just talking to a normal guy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
Hey,
yeah,
I'm
my-
going to talk about the Nashville trip, just to flex on y'all.
Do it, Dalton. Let it ride.
All right, so this was at championship week in Nashville last year. So I decided to bring my Rowdy Nation flag for Kyle to sign, and so I brought it down there, and I had Kyle sign it. And then right after that, I was just sitting outside watching him sign all the rest of the fans' autographs. And one of his social media one of his photographers came into me and said, "Hey, you mind if I get a picture with you in that flag real quick?" I said, "Yeah, you sure? You go right on ahead." So I let him get the picture, and then right after that, I got interviewed for local news in Nashville. And after that, I just got done. I was driving on my way home, and then I see that Kyle posted a picture of me on his Facebook saying, "Shout out to this guy for repping Rowdy Nation in Nashville." He also ended up putting me on his Instagram, his Twitter, and his Snapchat story. I had no idea, but then one of my friends said, "Hey, you're on his Instagram story." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, right.
That's awesome, man.
And this is in the middle of Nashville traffic, so but yeah, I've had so many meetings.
Yeah,
I thought that was the best one last year in
stuck
Nashville.
between two. I have two surreal moments. The first one is probably when I got Twitter famous from the 6 team. But then the second one is when last year I actually came to our campsite just out of the blue. Like we pulled up to the speedway to our campsite on Wednesday. We set up our flag. I know I have terrible graphics in here, but I have a Daniel Emmerich flag behind me.
It.
And like I hung that up over our RV and everything. I just took a picture of it and I put on Twitter like repping Dan. I tagged him in and I was like repping Daniel Emmerich this weekend at Chicagoland Speedway. I put our campsite name, our campsite location. I was like, Geico Lakeside L42 if you want to come stop by. Just thinking like, he's probably not going to see this. And then like it was Friday. Friday rolls around and I actually had just met him. He was doing an appearance. He was doing a burger cook-off with Paul Menard. And then I met him after that. Burger cook-off with Paul Menard. Well, yeah, I met him after that. And he was like super cool about it. And then I'll just get back to our campsite. I'm just kind of getting settled in, sitting down. And then this dude just rolls up on his golf cart. The first thing that I thought was, this is probably just like a maintenance guy coming to get the trash or something. And he has this little dog with him too. And then I like get closer and closer and closer. I'm like, holy shit, that's Daniel Emmerich. And I was like, and then like processed in my brain, I was like, no way. He comes out, he's like, you're the kid with the flag, right? And I was like, no way, this is not happening right now. No PR guy, no nothing. So
that's so cool.
He comes over. We pull the flag down. My dad was getting it down, and then he
tell
fell
that
off the
story. That's the best thing.
He fell off the ladder, getting the flag down. Emmerich was holding the ladder down so he could get the flag, but he kind of just like let go for like 2 seconds, and then my dad just kind of face planted off of it. And then Emmerich is just looking like, oh my god, like these guys are gonna
shit. Dude,
that's
over.
Yeah, he was.
So there's a video of it around, and all you see is his dad, Jim. I mean, he goes down like a ton of bricks. It looked like Brian Urlacher came out of retirement and tackled him off the ladder. So he goes down like wham, and all you see is Emmerich holding the ladder. All you see him just go.
Oh, come on, man!
It's the funniest
you gotta send
thing.
That you gotta send that to the group.
Oh, I'll find. I will, but yeah, he just stayed for like 20 minutes. He took pictures with everybody. It was
so cool.
He was just shooting the shit with us. That was awesome.
Yeah, he was just shooting the shit with us. So it's definitely between one of those two moments, dude, for sure.
That was a crazy night because do you remember that was the same night we both met Bob Pockris? Bob meets us. We're right by the media center or the media parking lot. He hits the thing. He thinks he unlocks his car, and his car alarm is going off. And he's like wanting to go mess with that. And Nick and I are like, no, you got to take a photo with us. Come on, Bob. Come on. You'll take a photo with us. He's like, all right, screw it. Let me do this real fast.
See, one of my, Chase is a great one, but one from, back in the day, which
the 68
is Kenny Wallace. So back in 2000, I spent about 2 hours in his motorhome sitting on the couch talking with him.
Where are all those perks now?
And then the next year, like I was out the race day set built by the Home Depot, and
hell yeah!
And he
those
spotted me in the crowd, and he came down because he knew that I wanted to go to journalism school, and he came down to the crowd in the commercial break, and he had me. He said, "Do a broadcasting report for me," and And then the next Martinsville race, I was there with my high school photographer doing stuff, and he saw me and he was like, "Hey, come on up." And instead of just doing an interview right there in front of his hauler, I mean, he walked me all the way back to the back of the back hauler, sit down on the leather couch there where, I mean, normally nobody's allowed back there. And we just chatted for another 40 minutes. So Kenny Wallace, awesome. Definitely somebody that,
that's
awesome. Moments that I'll never forget.
Oh, that's badass, man.
Yeah, that's incredible. Was security way more lax back then with all that stuff? Or
well, because you all have seen the pictures. I've got pictures with every driver from the early '90s. Because what would happen in Martinsville is they opened the gate across the track and just people would flood in. And my mom would just hold me close, and we'd get behind somebody else, and we'd just go right in. We never had pit passes when I was a kid. We just snuck into the pits all the time.
The good old days.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
All right, I'll tell my story. Mine literally happened this year, of all things, with stuff going on. And it's not even Kevin Harvick. I've met Kevin twice, but it's not one of those. We were walking around Sunday, pre-race, Daytona 500, walking around and everything. And me and my dad are walking down pit road, and I'm like, oh, like y'all, I'm a diehard. I spot drivers in the crowd. Most people don't even recognize who the hell a dude is walking in his T-shirt. But I was like, Dad, look, there's Noah Gragson walking down pit road. And I was like, no.
Ian's eyes just lit up.
Yeah.
I said, Noah. And he looked at me, and I've met Noah at Talladega last spring race and shot the shit with him for a minute. But I was like, Noah. And he walked over just like signed an autograph. And that's why I sent y'all his pictures, high-fived him. I was like, what's up, man? I said, hey, man. I was like, I met you Talladega last year. And I have a picture to send y'all as a group. I haven't showed y'all yet. But I was like, hey, I'm that guy. And he was like, dude, I remember you. And I was like, oh. And I was like, cool, man. I was like, good to meet you, man. I was like, dude, that win yesterday was badass, man. He was like, thanks. And then so I was like, hey, I ain't going to bother you. Let you do your thing. Well, then me and my dad went walking through the crowd, checking out. My dad's never been to the infield at Daytona, so we went walking around. And all of a sudden I look over, and Noah's sitting on the tri-oval by himself, right on his burnout marks, like right by him where he burned out on Saturday. And he's just sitting there, and not a soul there recognizes him. He's just wearing
crazy.
He's wearing a black T-shirt and a Bass Pro hat, and he's just sitting there, and not a soul is saying anything to him, and he's just sitting there. And I was like, I'm not like a overzealous fan, like oh, but I was like, Dad, there's Noah Gragson again. He's all by himself. And I mean, he was like 20 yards from him, and I was like, my dad's like, I didn't get his autograph. My dad's like, I didn't get his autograph. I was like, Dad, leave him alone. And he was like, no, let's go get his autograph. So we went over there and we just sat down with him on the tri-oval and talked to him for like 5-10 minutes. And he was about to go do an interview with Fox, and I was sitting there. I was just talking shit with him, like, dude. I was like, how awesome was it, like getting out of the car and looking at Daytona? And he was like, dude, it was the most unreal thing I've ever done in my life. And he just sat there and talked to me like we were bros, like straight up just talked for a minute. And then he was like, all right, man, I got to get out of here. And he just took off and left. And like, not a soul there recognized. I mean, I know he's an Xfinity driver, but all the people walking around, no one even recognized him in street clothes.
He's like a pretty recognizable guy too. It's not like he's like a mid-pack Xfinity guy or something.
Yeah. It was so cool just like sitting there talking like man to man with him. Like it wasn't like an interview or it wasn't crazy. He was just like, yeah, bro, this and that. And I mean, it was a super cool moment.
Dude, that's how he is. A very likable guy. That's why he's my number one driver right now.
He's going to be the best man in Ian's wedding, actually.
The amount of interactions that they have, yeah.
He's blocked me on Instagram.
Damn, Timothy, what is with you?
Because every time he puts a post out, I would put the puke emoji.
Oh, well, no shit. You're talking all this crap on Twitter.
Timothy,
well, you know what, Dakota? He keeps puking a lot. Next time you meet him.
NASCAR driver.
That's awesome.
I bet you could. Yeah. I bet you can mess with them and get every NASCAR driver to block you.
Yeah.
You should. Yeah.
NASCAR reporter here. No one wants to talk to me.
That's gonna be your guys' new intro. So here we are, Connor Bunn and the guy blocked by every NASCAR driver, Timothy Martin, for the lead.
I know. I tell him all the time. I'm like, dude, you gotta chill out. Like you're gonna start burning bridges. Like we're gonna start seeing drivers at tracks, and they're really not gonna like fuck with us because of like all your antics on social media. Like you're burning bridges here.
I'll just have Jeremy Mayfield on the
podcast. That's why.
Hey, week 37 with Jeremy Mayfield.
I did the Rodney Childers.
Hey, Jeremy Mayfield, how are you doing with this quarantine?
Another thing, like when Connor and I were at, where was it? The Roval, I guess.
After Harvick got penalized for the illegal windshield, I asked Rodney Childers if, since y'all got caught cheating, do you want to admit that if Kevin Harvick at the field on purpose at Talladega back in 2015, got an instant block? Right after
damn.
Typical Kyle.
Another moment that comes to mind. Another moment that comes to mind, we were at the Roval, and like I guess Kyle was having an issue or something with his car in the garage pre-race, so it was in the garage.
Oh yeah.
And like we just literally walked in the garage stall, Kyle Busch's garage stall. I walked up to Adam Stevens and was like, "Hey, what's going on with the car?" And He told me what was going on with the car.
Yeah, he
That's
was
so
like,
cool.
he was like, oh no, he's like, oh, nothing too serious. We passed tech and everything. We just wanted to make sure all the bolts and stuff were all tight on it. So we're just tightening up the bolts and stuff. And we're like, oh, okay, cool, man. See, we were like,
Connor was like,
Timothy was like, he was like, how do you feel about today? He was like, not good. We're gonna be shit. And then
that's cool.
And then we were like, oh well, good luck. He was like, thanks, man. And then we
what I really wanted to say was I wanted to say like, all right, cowboy, tough guy.
Hey, he's got to be like
where's
the
Dakota?
most laid back guy on planet Earth because he gets absolutely abused on the radio week in and week out.
Oh my god,
That
yeah,
man
no,
deserves like the highest paycheck in all of NASCAR for having to deal with Kyle Busch week in and week out because his radio chatter is.
Adam Stevens is the goat, y'all.
Yeah, but Dave Rogers got it worse.
Yeah, he
Dave
did.
Rogers is a prick.
Dave, well, that was when Kyle Busch was like, "Oh my God, this guy's gonna lose his job." Like the whole Texas ordeal back in 2011 or 2010 or whatever. It was.
That was a dark day. That was a dark day for some Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
I thought he was done.
I can agree. Let's not talk about it. Move on.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So probably my best interaction with a driver, it's got to be with Noah Gragson. I became a big fan of him when he was starting the truck series, and then a few weeks before the Chicagoland race in 2017 or 18, I can't remember the year. Well, me and my dad went to the drag races. It's like right across the street from the oval track. And Noah Gragson was doing an appearance there. So I was like, hell. So I put on my Noah Gragson shirt from when he was with KBM. I went there and we took some pictures. His PR guy took a picture of us and he put me on his Instagram, which I was freaking out when I saw it when I was in the car going home. And then just great interactions with him. He remembered me from the drag races. And then we actually played a couple rounds of PUBG Mobile together, which was awesome.
Nice.
Nice.
See, we got what? 2 Kevin Harvick fans here. He's the biggest asshole in the garage.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I would tend to agree. Sorry, boys. I agree.
Like we were walking, and I tried to take a picture of him walking, and he ducked under me and walked under my camera.
So he did something like that to me too. So we got hot passes. I won a contest. Apparently, I didn't even know I entered it. Thursday or Wednesday night, Nick and I are hanging out at Chicagoland. We just moved in. We're just sitting there, hanging out or whatever. I get a tweet that I won a contest. We won Xfinity hot passes for like 8 people for our whole group. So we got through. We're on. They're going ready for qualifying or something, but we could still be on pit road and stuff. Everybody goes up and gets autographed to him, this, that, or whatever. But he's trying to be like, yeah, whatever. I go up to Harvick. I go to hand him. I had a Chicagoland Speedway came by our campsite and gave out a bunch of like their generic, Chicagoland hats. I go to hand it to him with a marker to sign. He just looks at me, looks me dead in my eyes, and just keeps going.
He's like, I'm not taking that marker from you.
Yeah.
That's why I call him Kevin Harprick.
Sorry, bud. This is my favorite.
He didn't look real happy in that picture, though.
Yeah, he does. He's fake.
Ian, your picture with Kyle Busch has me dead every
Oh, my God.
It's one of my favorite pictures, and I hate the motherfucker.
It's the funniest picture of all time.
He looks like he'd rather be anywhere else in the world.
Like,
that is like a typical Kyle Busch picture, though.
Well,
and then look at Kyle.
That's like a typical Kyle Busch interaction on the crowd.
No, that could be false.
I laugh every time I see that picture of you and Kyle.
Yeah. You get that picture framed, man.
Yeah, you need to have him sign it. Man.
Oh yeah.
This was the man right here.
Oh
shit!
He's got the best one. He gets the best one.
Ooh, that's awesome, man.
It depended on his mood. Like this picture here, he was super nice. He's like, "Hey, buddy, come on over here." And then I had this poster. It's hanging up in the studio actually, and it's a pullout, and it's got Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt's cars on it. And I had Richard Petty already sign it, and I wanted Earnhardt to sign it. Well, it was after practice, a different race, and I handed it to him, and he jerked it out of my hand. I thought he'd ripped it, and he walked up into his hauler and slammed the doors shut with it. And it was like 5 minutes, and I'm like, I'm never gonna get that. I'm never gonna get it back. And then, like, all of a sudden, somebody else brought it out and handed it to me, and it had his signature on it.
Oh boy!
Oh wow!
There were many sides to Dale Earnhardt.
Holy cow!
Wow! He probably just wasn't having a good day or something.
Wait, that was back. That was when he was really starting to struggle before the resurgence in 2000.
Right. But here's probably the best picture I ever taken with Morgan Shepherd.
Oh, fuck yeah!
The GOAT.
Oh, yeah. Met him at Iowa State.
Dude, I have his autograph, and his autograph is literally him. It's his signature, and then he's got like the cross of Jesus and everything with the 89 and everything, because he's like.
Yeah, last year we were at Bristol in the spring race, and we're just walking around the garage area or makeshift garage area / infield at Bristol, and the cars are going through tech, and we're just walking around and strolling around the corner in these snakeskin boots and this bright purple button-up shirt and these gold glasses comes Morgan Shepherd, and we're like, holy shit, that's Morgan Shepherd. So we like walk up to him, and there we are.
Oh, what a guy.
We're like, how's everything going this year? And he's like, not good. The car's junk. He's like, the motor sucks. And he was so pissed. And I was like, Morgan's walking around the garage area waiting to see if somebody's sick and needs a fill-in driver.
Yeah. Morgan, you're going to run like 9 laps. Cool out, man, all right?
Yeah. Yeah, but what you all don't remember that I do is like back in he's the best Wood Brothers driver they've had since 1994, 1995.
Probably back since Reagan was president, right?
Right.
Who is that?
The ultimate goal this year, if we get back racing, I need a picture with Mike Harmon, and I just want to give him an Applebee's gift card so badly. I'm so tempted. That guy, oh my god! Because
you guys gotta get some haircut from BJ McLeod.
Yeah, we're working hard on getting Nick on BJ McLeod's pit crew.
I'm buying his pit crew shirt, and I'm gonna ask to join his team. I'll be like, hey man, you probably don't have enough people. I got you. You need me to change tires or something? Sure, why not? Why not? I got you. Oh.
Yeah, so I guess the coolest one I got, so I got to be pretty good buddies with Ben Rhodes from the Truck Series. I would talk to him all the time. So he used to do a show probably about once a week, once every 2 weeks. He'd call it Live at 5, where he'd go live on his Facebook and he'd go on there and answer questions. He'd give stuff away. And, he doesn't have the biggest following. So the cool thing I liked and why I got to be a big fan of his, somebody would write in and they'd be like, Sherry Johnson wants to know this. And I'll go, I know Sherry because back then, I met her at Bristol back 3 or 4 years ago. And it's like everybody that would answer a question from him, he would have a story for it. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I would just, comment back and forth, make him laugh and this and that, whatever. And we got to be buddies, to the point where if I tweeted stuff at him, he would almost respond to just about everything I would tweet back at him. And he had me on a guest at his show one time. And then we got to talking. He knew I was coming to Chicagoland. So, I ended up meeting him there. We started talking. He came over, took a bunch of photos with me. And to the point where he was talking about trying to come back to our campsite like Hemrick did, but he couldn't find it. But he would by first name, he knew me and stuff. So my buddies were going up and they saw him at an autograph session. He's like, hey, my buddy was saying that you might come by his campsite later, that's what he was saying you guys were talking about. He goes, oh, you guys are friends with Mike Gamble? That was pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, I kind of piggyback most off of Nick's stories because half the cool ones he was there for, I was there for too.
See, how far are you all from downtown?
I'm probably about anywhere from a half hour to 40-minute drive, just depending on where you're going downtown.
It's not too far.
Next time I'm in Chicago, we'll have to get together.
Oh,
Once this travel thing clears up, once this travel thing's up, I'm in Chicago every month. So
okay, yeah, especially
Land too this year as well.
Yeah,
so.
We're all straight up I-65 right into the city.
He just inserted himself into the meetup that I'm going to have with you all. I don't recall ever saying anything about him coming.
Man, ruthless.
Y'all got to count me out of Chicago. I ain't going to be able to come. I'll be in Vegas, boy.
That's pretty good.
My mom's
that's a good compensation for not being able to come to Chicagoland.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'd take that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Let's go to Bristol.
Oh, that's such a fun track.
Dude, it's on my bucket list. Within the next year or two, I'm there for sure. Or Hell, if like Indianapolis for some reason gets canceled, because with the NASCAR Heat 4 video game, you get like the free $50 ticket coupon. I'll put Bristol's one of the tracks. I'll just put it in for one of that and figure out where I'm gonna sleep or something like that after that. Like the drive.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking. I'm sure you guys all saw that tentative schedule for when we go back to racing.
Mhm.
If they do allow fans right away, we've got Martinsville all but paid for at this point, and we were all planning on doing Indy anyway. So they moved it back to where.
I just don't see Martinsville happening because I mean with the Virginia shutdown, I think that also means that people are not allowed to come in. I don't think they're going to let.
Tentative schedule.
Yeah, but the new tentative schedule had it like Wednesday, July 1st, though.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then that Saturday or that next weekend is Indy, which we were planning on going to anyway. I'm like, that would be a badass trip. And you almost have to go past Indy for us on the way home anyway. So,
yeah.
And they're using
why would you not do it?
Coronavirus testing site, so you think that's safe?
I mean, we'll see what happens. A lot can change by July, so.
Yeah. So definitely if the tentative schedule gets passed the way it was proposed, you guys definitely got to still send it down to Martinsville. You can't miss it.
That's like my top races here that we were supposed to go. I was looking forward to that all year long when I first put this together. When I first started talking about it last year when I heard they were going for the night race, I was like, why not? And it's my dad's birthday was supposed to be the inaugural night race on May 9th because his birthday is May 9th. So I was like, what better way to spend your birthday than at the inaugural Martinsville night race? And then, it ain't going to happen. But
all right, guys. So I just want to thank you all for joining us on the Stock Car Spectacle. This was a fantastic show. It was something different that we've never done. So, guys, thank you for joining. I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Mike Gamble.
I'm Connor Bond.
Nick Kinsel.
Everyone sign off.
Hey, boys.
I told my dad to stop calling me.
Hey.
I told Dad last night, hey, I got a show. Please don't call me. Nope, I'm just gonna call my son.
All right, boys.
All right, guys.
All right, you guys be safe. We'll talk soon, all right?
Hey.
Do it again soon.
All right,
guys.
Peace.